Here's our second video on learning target 2E, which is about regulation. Timing and coordination of physiological events are regulated by multiple mechanisms. So the regulation of physiological events in organisms can involve interactions between external signals and internal molecular signals. The timing and coordination of behavior is also regulated by several means, from environmental cues to the communication of information between members. In plants, physiological events involve interactions between environmental stimuli and internal molecular signals. Some examples of this are phototropism and photoperiodism. Plants use hormones to control the growth of stems and roots and the direction that stems, roots can be influenced by external stimuli. So we talked about this in the last learning target, the fact that plants are able to grow towards sunlight. Directional growth is called tropism and can include phototropism, growth towards a light source, or gravitropism, which is growth in response to gravitational forces. In phototropism, light is absorbed by photoreceptors called phototropins, and when activated, they alter the gene expression to produce protein pumps that transport oxygen from cell to cell. When plants detect the direction of a light source, efflux pumps transport oxygen to the more shaded opposite side of the stem. This concentration gradient triggers the growth on that side. This results in the stem growing towards the light. Leaves attached to the stem therefore receive more light, and the rate of photosynthesis increases. In most plants, the switch to flowering is the response to the length of day, which is photoperiodism. Long day plants flower in the summer when nights are short, and short day plants flower in the fall when nights are longer. Experiments have shown that plants are sensitive to the length of darkness rather than the light. It was found that plants use a pigment, phytochrome, to measure this. Phytochrome can switch between two states, PR and PFR. When PR absorbs red light, it is converted to PFR, and when PFR absorbs far red light, it's converted back to PR. In long day plants, amounts of PFR promote the gene expression needed for flowering. Since the night is short, there's less time for PFR to break down. In short day plants, PFR acts as an inhibitor for flowering. After a long night, little PFR remains, which allows the plant to flower. In animals, internal and external signals regulate a variety of physiological responses that synchronize with environmental cycles and cues. Some examples of this are circadian rhythm, jet lag, and seasonal responses. Circadian rhythm refers to physical, mental, and behavioral changes in an organism that follow a daily cycle. This rhythm is about 24 hours and is present in all eukaryotes, even without external cues. So you can see here, if we look at this graph and interpret it, the increased amounts of melatonin are during our sleep. Our core body temperature much higher when we are awake and drops back down when we sleep. Cortisol is high when we in this waking up stage, but then low when we're in the going to sleep stage. Melatonin is the sleep hormone produced by the pineal gland in the brain. It controls the body circadian rhythm, which is a 24-hour cycle. Its secretion increases in the evening and decreases at dawn, allowing it to control our sleep-wake cycle. So know that that's melatonin in charge of that. Light receptors in the retina communicate to the brain the time of day. In response, the melatonin levels in the blood are alerted respectively. Even without light, the body is able to maintain its 24-hour rhythm. Because it can regulate sleep patterns, melatonin can be used to alleviate jet lag. Jet lag occurs after traveling when the brain, with the brain and pineal gland follow the circadian rhythm of the, there we go. When the brain and pineal gland follow the circadian rhythm of the original location. So if you're changing time zones or something, but then your body is still following the where you were coming from, that original location. After a few days, signals from the light receptors alter the rhythm according to the new location. Melatonin supplements can alleviate this by being taken when sleep ideally would be commencing. This way, when the traveler arrives, melatonin levels have already been adjusted, so you can basically take melatonin to help alleviate that jet lag. Species can respond to seasonal changes as well. For example, hibernation is a state of inactivity and metabolic depression that many species go into to conserve energy during winter. Many will also migrate from one region to another to inhabit areas with more favorable environmental conditions. Many butterflies, whales, and geese do this. In fungi, protists, and bacteria, internal and external signals regulate a variety of physiological responses that synchronize with environmental cycles and cues. For example, fungi, slime, mold, and certain types of bacteria will form fruiting bodies depending on environmental factors such as nutrients, humidity, light availability, and temperature. The fruiting bodies of fungi contain spores, which are spread for reproduction. So it's advantageous for fungi to form these bodies when environmental conditions promote the survival of the spores it spreads. Many species of bacteria have what's called quorum sensing. This changes the expression of their genes based on the cell population density. For example, cells will stop multiplying if the density is too high. Some bioluminescent marine bacteria glow when population density is high. This allows them to attract predators in which they can live in and thrive.